very good evening to all of you. Please be seated. I welcome you all on behalf of Eden IAS to our IAS Foundation course. Students, from today, you all will begin a marvelous journey. Now, this journey, if you travel through this journey successfully, you will end up into the civil services. It means, at this moment, in front of me, each one of you is a potential bureaucrat. An IAS officer, IPS, yes please, IFS officer, or any other preferred choice of your service. पर देखो, इससे पहले कि हम शुरुआत करें, it becomes very crucial for us to understand why civil services? Why not any other career option? What is so special about civil services? Or why you want to become a part of the Indian bureaucracy? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why you want to join civil services? You all are civil services aspirants? Yes? Yes, be loud? Yes? So why you want to join civil services? There must be a reason. देखो, सबसे पहले तो यही पता करना है कि करना क्यों है, फिर देखेंगे करना कैसे है. That should be the way. So why you want to join civil services? You see, if you are looking for money, then this is a wrong career that you all have chosen. Why? Because maybe there are many MNC jobs. Go fight for being a CEO in a leading company, and you will see that you will fetch much more than what even the cabinet secretary fetches, who is the highest of all civil servants in this country. So money is definitely not the motivation to join civil services. Am I clear on that fact? Yes. Then, is it power? Are you looking for power? Many people are power hungry. उन्हें वो लाल बत्ती चाहिए. But अब तो बहुत सारे states में वो है भी नहीं. But लोगों को चाहिए कि हाँ हम कहीं जाएं तो लोग बोले ये देखो IAS officer आ रहा है. So are you looking for that power? Let me tell you, if you're looking for real power, go join the politics. That will give you real power. Do you understand that? And with that, therefore, power is also not the motivation, the real motivation. These can be superficial motivations, which for the time being you may feel is motivating you. But these motivations are not sustainable, friends. Do you understand that? So what is the motivation? If it is not power, if it is not money, some may say they want to serve the people. Maybe that can be a motivation. But you see, even good politicians serve the people. After all, civil servants are implementers of policies. The policies are designed by whom? The politicians. It is the Prime Minister, the Cabinet Ministers, and the Council of Ministers, or the Chief Minister and his Cabinet of Ministers that decide the direction of governance in the center or at the state level. Isn't that so? What is your job? See, the difference between a leader and a bureaucrat is, a good leader I'm talking about, a good leader does the right thing which is necessary for the society, whereas a good bureaucrat does everything in a right manner. Do you get that difference? It means a good bureaucrat should not infringe on any of the constitutional values. A good bureaucrat should not destroy the idea of welfare state. Do we want to create a police state or a welfare state? A welfare state. Clear? So, the ultimate motivation to understand what is the real motivation to join bureaucracy is, take for instance this example. Think of a traffic policeman. Are you aware how much hours does he perform his duty on an average, on a daily basis? Come on, take a guess. It means 12 hours, 15 hours. And if suppose there is a Republic Day function coming up, or suppose there is a visit by a foreign dignitary, how many hours? Not full time, that's impossible. Nobody can stand for 24 hours, but definitely it goes up to 16 hours even 18 hours. What is his salary? I'm talking about the honest traffic police person. How much does he earn? Do you have any idea? That's it? Clear? Why is he standing in blazing sun, in torrential downpour? Why is he standing? Why is he burning his skin? What do you think? What is the motivation? That should be your motivation. And do you know what is the motivation? Public spirit. You want to contribute to nation building. Do you understand that? क्या बोलते हैं हम इसे? सिविल? तो सर्विस करना है. आपको एक सिविल सर्वेंट बनना है, मास्टर नहीं. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? सबसे पहले तो अपने दिमाग से एक कॉलोनियल हैंगओवर निकाल के फेंक दो. इफ यू हैव एनी, दैट यू विल जॉइन द सर्विसेज and every day would be a bed of roses. It's never going to happen. And it should not happen. Because if you want to join the services to build a career for yourself, accumulate wealth, or gain prestige, or attain power, then you are doing a disservice to the nation. Do you understand that? It means you are not fit for civil services, notwithstanding the fact, even if you clear this examination. ये तो एक एग्जाम है बस, जो अच्छा पढ़ेगा वो क्लियर कर लेगा. Is your aim to clear the examination? Is that your aim? That shouldn't be. It is just an objective, an instrument to achieve your ultimate aim. And what is that? To become a good civil servant, contribute to nation building, help in the endeavor of building a welfare state. अच्छा देखो, दो प्रिंसिपल हैं स्कूल के. एक प्रिंसिपल ये कहते हैं that for me the school comes first. It means nothing else matters for me. I will take all such actions which benefit my school. It means the school is first. That's principle number one. Principle number two says, for me, the students of the school come first. Who is a better principle? The second one, definitely. It means when I say you should contribute in nation building, it doesn't mean that you should contribute in creation of infrastructure. You should contribute in preservation of environment. You should contribute in giving a good system of governance. These are tools to make what? To make the lives of people happy. Do you understand that? Safe, secure. One who is starving on the road, has not eaten for days, cannot be proud of the bureaucracy. Can he be? No, cannot be. But think of this, that suppose this is your first day of service and you have just walked into your room and suddenly what happens is there is an old frail woman who is fighting for 4 weeks to get a cylinder under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which is her due right, isn't it? Yes. But due to the corruption in the system and the lackluster attitude of the bureaucracy, she is being denied what is legitimate due to her. Just a signature of yours gives her the cylinder. 4 हफ्तों बाद उसके घर में चूल्हा जलता है. Because of you. Isn't that satisfying? Can you sleep that night with peace? Yes. Can you see yourself into the mirror and say that, yes, I am contributing to nation building? If that is the motivation, friends, then only you will become a good civil servant. Otherwise, you will get fed up by the bureaucracy. दिवाली होगी, IPS officer हो, सड़क पे होना पड़ेगा आपको तो. Isn't that so? If there is a communal riot, terrorist attack, you have to walk into the ground. Isn't that so? तो हर वक्त तो आप अगर ये मोटिवेशन नहीं है आपका, पब्लिक स्पिरिट नहीं है मोटिवेशन, आप नेशन बिल्डिंग में कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं करना चाहते, then definitely you will get demotivated very soon. What kind of job is this? When you look around, your friends, some of them who have gone abroad or are working in reputed MNCs, they must be extremely better than you. If you are not motivated by public spirit, mind my words, you will not be able to work as a civil servant. Forget about clearing the examination. Clear? तो एक बात पे हम सब एक पेज पे हैं, that if public spirit is not motivating you, then quit the preparation. You're wasting your time and my time and everyone else's time. Clear? But more importantly, you're playing with your career. But if public spirit is motivating you, you want to contribute to nation building, you have chosen just the best prestigious career that not only this country, but entire Asia has to offer. It is the most complete career because of the differences that you can create in the life of the weak and the vulnerable. सोच कर देखो, ट्रैफिक पे रुके हुए हो, गाड़ी महंगी है, शीशा नीचे किया हुआ है. All of you understand a bit of Hindi if I use them? Yes? I'll mix it up. But I'm saying that suppose you are driving through the pavement and you have a brand new car, maybe a Lamborghini, a Porsche, or something like that. You have just rolled down your window, and outside that window, you see a person who is from the third gender. They're transgenders. Clear? Asking for some money from you. And you just pick up. You have affluence. You do not have any shortage of wealth. So you just pick a bit out of your kitty and you hand it over to that person. Have you made any qualitative change to that person's life? You ensure that that person remains a beggar. Isn't that so? Can a civil servant do that? Can he or she bring a qualitative change in the life of the weak and the vulnerable sections of the society? Think of transgenders. Think of Divyangs. Can the civil servants do it? Because it is the civil servants who shape the policy of a nation. Politicians तो जाके सिर्फ आपको पता है कि legislature में they just give the speeches. Do they design the policy? No. So civil servants deliberate over a particular policy, design the policy, and then through the politicians, in fact, present the policy. And then implement the policy. अगर कोई चीज आपने बनाई हुई है, then you will be in the best position to implement it, isn't it? So because the policies are designed by the civil servants, they are in the most appropriate position to implement those policies. Clear? तो ये होना चाहिए आपका motivation. पहली बात. इस पे clear है हम सब? अब दूसरी बात पे आते हैं. That's the second thing. That how this examination is different from other examinations. How do you feel that this examination is different from other examinations? Is it just another competitive examination? Or is it slightly different than other examinations? Think of your school, college examination. उसके जैसा है क्या? इतना तो पक्का है. उसके जैसा नहीं है. अच्छा, think of IIT or say the CAT examination or any other competitive examination. Is it like that? Okay, in your school, what was the funda while answering questions? Or how did you give response to questions that were asked to you in the question papers? देखो जैसे कि एक simple सा question है समझ लो, आप humanities background के हैं, just assume, and the question is that Indian democracy is undergoing a transformational change. Comment. Suppose this is a question. तो स्कूल कॉलेज में क्या होता है जनरली? There can be an exception if you are coming from a different kind of school which actually gave attention to learning rather than mostly the attention is paid to literacy. Unfortunately, that has been the sorry story of the Indian education system. But with the new education policy, maybe things will change. But anyhow, coming back to that question. If you are in school, the idea is to recall and express. मतलब, you find keywords into the question. Like, जैसे ये word मिल गया Indian democracy. अब इसके बारे में जो आता है वो लिख दो. Isn't that so? It means इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता क्या पूछा गया है, हम तो वही लिखेंगे जो हमें आता है. And it doesn't matter whether it is for 5 marks, 10 marks, 50 marks or 500 marks. उतना ही लिखेंगे जितना आता है. Do you understand that? अच्छा, एक बात सोचो. What is your good name, beta? Always. Okay. If I say always, what is your favorite food? And if always gives a reply that I like Virat Kohli. Just. Suppose, what is your name, beta? Muskan. Okay. If I ask Muskan, which city you like the most in India? And if she says jalebi. Do you understand that? It means I'm asking something and you're answering something else. Is such a person suitable जिसके कंधे पे पूरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दे दी जाए? Is that person suitable? No. It means you should not beat around the bush. You should be straightforward. समझ लो बाहर कोई राइट्स हो रहे हैं या टेररिस्ट अटैक हो गया है या कोई नेचुरल कैलामिटी आ गई है and the minister is asking a response from you and he has only 1 minute और आप बता रहे हो जलेबी. Do you understand that? It means that this examination is different from other examination because in other examinations you just recall and you express. But this examination is not the test of your memory. It is the test of your knowledge. Clear? So how is the civil services examination? It is different from other examination. That is the first thing that we will try to understand today. First is this examination tests your knowledge. Now, what do we mean by knowledge? What is knowledge?
Sir, all around knowledge of study, understanding of a particular subject or topic.
Okay. One person who has never been to school, can he possess knowledge? चल, यहाँ तक तो clear है मतलब मामला. So there is a difference between being literate and being educated. A person who is educated will have knowledge. Clear? It means what? It means that person will have a logical thinking capacity. Clear? It means that person will be able to use reason as a tool to understand the situation and to give response according to reason. Do you understand that? Like when you go to a doctor, checks your temperature and then decides whether you are ill or not. But if the doctor just looking at the color of your shirt gives you medicine, is that doctor a logical doctor? No. It means he does not possess knowledge of what? Medicine or of medical treatment. Do you understand that? So the first thing is this examination is a test of your knowledge. Clear? It means it checks your logical thinking capacity. एक चीज clear हो गई. Second is it checks your analytical ability. What do we mean by analytical ability? देखो, have you seen the post-match cricket commentary analysis or something like that? What they do is they break down the complex thing into simpler things so that everyone can understand. Like how Mahendra Singh Dhoni could hit so long sixes. Then some commentator will hold the bat and show that this is what he does. He takes his left leg away, creates the space and thus does the bat swing, which generates the speed and thus the ball travels. Isn't that so? So this examination also tests your analytical ability. एक तो ये check होता है कि आप rational है कि नहीं. Do you understand that? Rational होंगे तभी तो situation जैसा demand करेगा वैसा response कर पाएंगे. Second is whether you have analytical ability or not. Analytical ability helps you in forming opinions. Have you seen commentators giving opinions? Clear? This examination requires opinions. You have to have your own set of opinions. Like say for example, if you are walking into the interview hall, देखो पहले दिन हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? Interview की. और करना भी चाहिए, ठीक है? Because this is the integrated journey. So suppose you walk into the interview hall and the interviewer asks you that what do you think in 10 years time, do you think India will surpass China? Suppose that is the question. इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता आप क्या आंसर दो. You may think yes, you may think no. But what matters is if you say yes, you have to highlight the reasons why India will surpass China. Defend your arguments. If you say no, then also you have to defend that premise with the help of logically constructed arguments which make sense with respect to reason. Do you understand that? आप ये नहीं बोल सकते नहीं कर जाएगा मुझे लगता है. Do you understand that? That is not a logical answer. So you can either say yes, you can either say no, but you cannot be saying that I don't know. Do you understand that? It means you have to have your own set of opinions. It means you have to be opinionated for this examination. तो कोई कुछ भी opinion बना ले. Isn't that so? But the opinion that you will have should be in tune with the constitution and law of the land. Do you understand that? It should be in tune with the idea of the welfare state. And that will happen only when you have imbibed in you the principle of public spirit. Do you understand that? So देखो, एक चीज ये clear हो गई that it tests our knowledge and logical capacity. It checks our analytical ability. But this examination is such a beautiful examination that it just don't stop at the brain, but it walks into your heart. Do you understand that? It also checks what kind of person you are. So it also checks your emotional competence. अच्छा देखो, do you know this fact that largest number of hungry people live in India? Do you know this fact? Do you know this fact that largest number of people go to bed without a meal in India? और अगर आप ये सुनकर ये सोचते हो अरे तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है, I am full, I have eaten properly. It means you lack basic human values like what? Empathy, compassion, love, etc. Do you understand that? So this checks your emotional competence. It means whether you have the basic human values, whether you can walk into the shoes of a child labor and understand that what kind of problems he or she faces. Then only you can create a policy which will bring a qualitative change in the life of the child labor. Do you understand that? So whether you have empathy or not, whether you have compassion or not, whether you have the sense of justice, whether you have the sense of fairness, it means how is your heart. और आपको पता होगा एक पेपर है GS पेपर 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. It is all about this aspect of your personality. Do you understand that? बस उनको हिलाया जा सकता है एक 10 रुपए के एप्लीकेशन से. That is RTI. Some has in say academics, some in say sports. So it checks your aptitude. What kind of aptitude? Bureaucratic aptitude. अच्छा होता क्या है आपको पता है? When you go into the personality test, before that there is a form called the detailed application form or the DAF. Now personality, can it be changed overnight? No. You all are carrying a personality for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever is your age, that many years. Can we change that in 1 year's time? ऐसे courses होते हैं आपने सुना है 15 दिन personality development course. They are bogus and nonsense. It cannot happen. Can anybody change what you like or what you dislike in 1 day? No. And because you have not reflected well on your personality, what happens is when aspirants fill the detailed application form, वो अपने बारे में ऐसी बातें लिखते हैं उसमें कि वीकनेसेस ऐसा लिखते हैं, जैसे कि समझ लो माई वीकनेस इज माई क्रेविंग फॉर परफेक्शन, वो भी एक्चुअली एक स्ट्रेंथ ही है, ठीक है। मतलब जब उनके डेफ को पढ़ा जाता है तो ऐसा लगता है कि ये भगवान के अवतार हैं, इनमें कोई कमी ही नहीं है, ये कोई खुदा के मैसेंजर हैं, कोई मसीहा हैं, ऐसा लगता है पढ़ के। बिकॉज यू हैव नॉट वर्कड वेल ऑन योर personality. Your personality has certain positive traits. It also has certain negative traits. Like maybe they're on your personality from day one. Then only you will clear the examination. अच्छा एक बात बताओ, you want to clear the preliminary examination or you want to clear the entire examination? It means you have to work for, ऐसा तो नहीं होना चाहिए ना, that first I'll appear for pre, अगर pre निकला तो देखेंगे mains, और मेंस भी निकला तो फिर पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट की बात होगी। इट शुड बी एन इंटीग्रेटेड प्रोसेस, एंड हाउ दैट विल हैपन, डोंट वरी, आई विल टेल यू दैट व्हाट यू नीड टू डू फॉर दैट। सो आर यू क्लियर विद दिस थिंग? देखो ये पहले समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि व्हाट इज द मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर, पब्लिक स्पिरिट एंड द डिजायर टू कंट्रीब्यूट टू नेशन बिल्डिंग, दैट्स द मोटिवेशन, क्लियर? एंड व्हाट दिस एग्जामिनेशन इज चेकिंग योर knowledge, logical thinking, analytical ability, and your ability to form opinions and present the opinions. The opinions should be constitutional and legally correct, and they should be practical so that they can be implemented. Do you understand that? If somebody says that there is poverty in the country, and if you say that the best thing is to give 1 crore to everyone and thus poverty would be eradicated, can this be implemented? No, it is not practical. Do you understand that? So it should be constitutional, it should be legal, it should be practical, clear? Then it checks your emotional competence. It means your basic human values, whether you are fit for the civil services or not. यहीं से पता लगता है that whether you can contribute to nation building or not, whether you can play a positive role in causing the endeavor of carrying forward the idea of welfare state, clear? And finally it checks your personality, your attitude, your aptitude, your behavior, कि आप क्राइसिस में कैसे बिहेव करते हैं। In GS paper 4, you would see there are many case studies which are asked to you, and some case studies are very frequently asked, like something like this, that suppose it is the day of your interview and you are walking past a lane and suddenly you see a man who is lying on the road, he is in full pool of blood and there is nobody to help around him. You have 15 minutes to take him to the hospital, otherwise he will perish on the road. But if you devote that time in taking that person to the hospital, you will miss your interview. This is your last, you can say, attempt. What will you do? Do you understand that? So it checks your behavior under stress kind of situations. Also you see that it is also a test of your skills. अच्छा, इसका फर्क क्या होता है एप्टीट्यूड और स्किल्स का? यस, एंड एप्टीट्यूड इज इनहेरेंट टैलेंट. जैसे लोग कहते हैं ना गॉड गिफ्ट, दैट इज योर एप्टीट्यूड. अब कुछ लोगों का दिमाग मैथ्स में अच्छा चलता है तो चलता है, इसका कोई रीजन नहीं है. हो सकता है वो सोशल साइंसेस में थोड़े स्ट्रगल करते हो. स्किल्स आर समथिंग दैट यू कैन लर्न. Like say for example basic knowledge of computer, if you acquire that, that would be a skill. Do you understand that? So whether you have good attitude, whether you have good aptitude which is necessary for the civil services, whether you have a positive behavior, not a negative behavior, positive behavior, and whether you can earn skills or whether you can acquire skills or skills can be infused into you. Do you understand that? Now, अब ये तो समझ में आ गया कि ये एग्जामिनेशन क्या टेस्ट कर रहा है. The next question is how to prepare. How to prepare. What you should do for the civil services examination. Now you see, this is perhaps the most toughest question, and many times aspirants, they study for long periods, say for months or for weeks, still they are confused with respect to their strategy. and they do not have the answer to this question, how to prepare. Do you understand that? What is required, do you understand? Now the next question is how to prepare for this examination. Now, one thing is, the first step, I'll tell you step-by-step process which you should follow for this examination. The first step is that you should know about the syllabus of the examination. So the first thing is you should check the syllabus. Now you see that many aspirants who prepare for longer periods and yet not see the syllabus properly, they suffer with respect to their preparation. Because आपको पता ही नहीं है कि क्या पढ़ना है, तो कैसे पढ़ोगे? Do you understand that? So from today onwards, the first thing that you will do is, all of you have got the beginner's guide. There is the syllabus given in that book or that guide. What you need to do, keep it for now. Keep it for now, you can do it later. That look into the syllabus. अब एक चीज देखो, जो syllabus है UPSC का, especially the pre-examination and the main examination GS portions, it is very superficial. It means entire thing is written in one line. Like say for example, history of India from the mid of the 17th century or 18th century till independence. तो उसमें सब कुछ आ गया. Do you understand that? That's why in the CSE beginner's guide, a proper breakdown of the syllabus, topic by topic, is given. So first thing is that you should be aware of this detailed decipherment of the syllabus. तब तो पता लगेगा कि क्या करना है. Next thing is you should see some previous year's questions, because by looking at previous year's questions you understand what you need to prepare. Do you understand that? Like say for example, if I tell you, or if I ask you rather, do you know what is an internal combustion engine? Suppose ये क्वेश्चन सुन लो आप पहले और फिर जाके इंटरनल कंबशन इंजन के बारे में अगर आप पढ़ लो, will that be beneficial? Yes, because you know what is the question now. Do you understand that? So you will learn in that process. So keep this in mind, that the first thing is you should be aware of the syllabus. Then you should have a look at the previous year's questions. Then you should start with the NCERTs. Clear? I'll tell you which NCERTs, but why NCERTs? See, NCERT is first government approved source, isn't that so? And secondly, these are books written for school children. अब बच्चों को अगर कोई बात समझानी हो तो कैसे समझाएंगे? In simple language. Do you understand that? So this analytical ability is best developed by reading NCERTs, because it breaks down complex concepts into simpler words. Do you understand that? And the pre-examination is, if not totally, but at least 80% of the static portion is based purely on the NCERTs. Do you understand that? That's why NCERT becomes extremely crucial for your preparation. After that, we will do what we do in the class. Then it should be the class, because in the class, I will assume, now, don't think that I'm disrespecting your knowledge, but I will assume you know nothing. कि आपको कुछ नहीं आता. Do you understand that? Because if I assume that she knows a lot or he knows a lot, then I'll skip those portions and I'll start from a higher pedestal, which will not be good. Do you understand that? क्योंकि हो सकता है जो आपने सोच के रखा है, that is not a concept but a misconcept. Do you understand that? So in the class, my endeavor would be that I will take you step by step very slowly and will try to understand all the concepts. Once we have understood the concepts, I'll dictate you detailed class notes, which you will prepare on your own as I dictate. Clear? These class notes, and if you can interact with students who have attended the foundation course previously, these class notes would be like your Bible. मतलब इसमें सारे सब्जेक्ट का निचोड़ होगा. Do you understand that? If you read that class note, that would be enough for both the preliminary examination and the main examination. But there are so many people and there will be many batches, so you can understand everybody will have those class notes. So the answers that you will write in the examination will be like anybody else's. So where is the X factor? Do you understand that? So for that you have to do some extra labor. And what is that? You should go through some of the standard books, which I and the other teachers, when their chance comes, they will tell you with respect to their subjects. Do you understand that? Read only those books. And in UPSC, keep this in mind, you should not read a book like a book, but you should read a book like a reference. Because there are 4 books, suppose. Suppose Union Executive is given well in one book, whereas Judiciary is given well in the other book. So you should choose from all the books. And I'll tell you that from which book you should learn which chapter. Clear? अच्छा, जिनको बहुत सारे books पढ़ने में दिक्कत होती है, they feel troubled, होते हैं, clear? And for them, there is the Indian Polity book. Well, it is not a book, but a compilation of all books. Everything that is good in every book has been taken together and clubbed together in the form of one book. Do you understand that? Along with your class notes, this book would be sufficient. You need not need anything else. But if you are willing to read more, which you should be, then you should read at least some standard books. But NCERT is non-negotiable. ये तो पढ़ना है ही है. Do you understand that? In that way, you will get the basic content for your examination. Then you should read the newspapers. Because this examination is very dynamic. 73 years almost has passed for this examination being conducted. And it has history even before independence. We had the ICS examination. So you see that most of the static things have been asked in the question papers. तो बचा ही नहीं है कुछ. So things which are very dynamic in nature are asked. Plus, current affairs creates a level playing ground. Why? Because suppose somebody who is preparing for 5 years has read the NCERTs 5 times, standard books 5 times, everything 5 times more. But if this is your first attempt, then you have not got that much opportunity to read these books. But as far as current affairs is concerned, everybody has got 1 year in hand. So it creates a great level playing field. That's why newspapers also become very critical for the examination. But you see that there is a very famous Chinese proverb which says that a picture is worth more than 10,000 written words. Clear? And that's why you should also use the mass media or the social media to enrich your preparation. And what you can do for that? See, one is there is the All India Radio and there is a program called Public Speak in it. आज से ये habit बना लो कि उस program को आप सुनोगे. Public Speak, check it out. You can do that. But if suppose you are not such a enthusiast about the radio, what you can do is you can log on to www.air.nic.in. There are some archives in it, and through those archives you can listen to some of the important interviews. अब देखो inflation के बारे में बात हो रही, and what we need to do for inflation. If the RBI governor is speaking on it, is his opinion the most authoritative opinion? Can you use that in the examination? Yes. Do you understand that? And that's why the All India Radio is a good source for your preparation. Apart from it, there is a show in Rajya Sabha TV called the Big Picture. So you can just have a look at this big picture. Clear? As far as the magazines are concerned, I will not suggest you to read any magazine as such, because there is no magazine which is complete in itself. Rather, what would happen is you will get the WCR magazines, which is the weekly current roundup. और अभी जो current affairs हो रहा है वो तो इस साल आ जाएगा examination में. Clear? So we'll begin from where it makes sense. So you'll get the WCR magazine, which is the compilation of all the editorials that have come in all the leading newspapers. One major newspaper which most of the people refer is the Hindu. Clear? But I would again suggest not to refer only one paper. You should have a plurality of opinions, because in newspapers the articles are written by journalists. Clear? And journalists may have a political inclination. वो right thinking हो सकते हैं, left thinking हो सकते हैं, centrist हो सकते हैं. But as a bureaucrat, your opinion has to be balanced. Clear? That's why if you read the Hindu, just supplement it with the Indian Express. And if you are interested in reading one more newspaper, it has to be the Hindustan Times Mint or the Live Mint. अब किसी को ये लग रहा होगा कि एक न्यूज़पेपर तो पढ़ा नहीं जाता, ये तीन कैसे पढ़ेंगे? अच्छा एक बात बताओ, can you read 6 pages a day? Can you read that? Only thing that you have to do is you have to read the editorial portions of these newspapers. And not opinions, only editorials, because editorials are balanced. Because the stake of the editor is in question. Do you understand that? So he or she writes a balanced opinion. Whereas opinion pages, or जिसे हम कहते हैं op-ed, clear? These are written by journalists and they may have a certain inclination. Do you understand that? Newspaper में क्या नहीं पढ़ना है? First तो ये कि wanted, fair and tall, ये सब नहीं पढ़ना है, ठीक है? For marriage. दूसरा बुआ और बबुआ के बीच फिर से टेंशन, ये नहीं पढ़ना है. It means no political masala, no other kind of rubbish material, but only the editorials. Clear? That would be enough. The WCR, in fact, is a compilation of all the leading dailies and weeklies that this country has. Clear? It means newspapers like the Hindu, the Indian Express, the Hindustan Times Mint, the Times of India, Tribune, Pioneer, etc. all are covered through one magazine. And you have detailed classes for that. It means there are classes for the current affairs in which you can learn through the classes as well. The point is, current affairs will never be prepared if you only keep on reading. You have to talk about it. Then only you can form an opinion. Now, are you aware that it is the dream of the government to double the farmers' income by 2022? Are you aware that India wants to reach to the $5 trillion mark economy? अगर आप इसके बारे में बात नहीं करोगे, then how will you have opinions about it? Do you understand that? If somebody says that for $5 trillion economy, you need to privatize everything, you need to talk over it. That what would be the advantages? What would be the challenges? Do you understand that? Then only your opinions will be built. So current affairs will never be prepared if you only keep on reading just the newspapers and all. You have to talk about it. Acha, do you have to prepare notes for current affairs? For now, I will say no. Do you understand that? Do not fall into that trap. Because, see, what everyone else says, if that was true, then everyone who is walking around would be an IAS officer. Isn't that so? Like, this must be your first preparation. But I have seen 5,000 students prepare under me. And I know many students who have cracked this examination. So I am telling you what I have collected from a collective experience of all the successful candidates. Do you understand that? And that's why you should keep in mind that do not make notes as such. Because आप notes बनाते रहोगे तो उसमें आपका time waste भी बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. And you will keep on accumulating material which you will never be able to revise. Newspaper तो रोज आता है. इतने newspaper हो जाएंगे, notes इतने हो जाएंगे. कब पढ़ोगे? Is it good to read 10 books one time or one book 10 times? Do you understand that? That's why I'll tell you what you need to do with respect to the current affairs. You can go onto the website, the official website of this institute, and there is an impulse, daily impulse thing which you can access the federal government. In unitary government, there is only one government, the national government, like how you have in England. Clear? In United Kingdom, you have unitary government. In federal government means there is division of powers between the central government and the state government. So there will be a government at the central level and there will be local governments at the state level. Do you understand that? So federal government means that there would be a central government and there would be state governments. Unitary government means there would be only one government, the national government, also at times called as the government. Do you understand that? Now, there can be a third form of government as well, in which there is a mixture of unitary and federal features. Like India is a federal government, लेकिन जब emergency लगती है country में, it becomes a unitary government. All the state government's powers are withdrawn and invested into the central government. Central government has extraordinary powers during the times of war or external aggression. Do you understand that? So India is a special case, which is an admixture of unitary and federal feature. That's why you will see that sometimes India is also referred to as quasi-federal. Clear? But again, this charge is not correct and we'll talk about it in our future classes. But anyhow, do you understand this? So Constitution declares that how would be the form of government? Will it be a unitary government? Will it be a federal government? Or will it be an admixture of both? Clear? Constitution decides how would be the nature of state. Will it be a monarchy, oligarchy, dictatorship or democracy? It is the Constitution which provides for the organs of the government. See, there are three major organs of the government. जब हम government बोलते हैं, generally in popular parlance, we refer to the Prime Minister and the set of ministries and maybe the administrator. That is what we are saying, this is government. But technically speaking, government is a broad term and it has three wings. One is the legislature, the second one is executive, and the third one is judiciary. The job of the legislature is to make laws. The job of the executive is the implementation of those laws. And the job of the judiciary is to dispense justice in the light of those laws. Do you understand that? And to check that whether the laws are in tune with the Constitution or not. Do you understand that? So what am I saying? That there are three major organs of the government. तो कहाँ पे पता चलता है कि organ होंगे तीन major? कहाँ से पता चलता है? Through the Constitution. Do you understand that? So the Constitution tells us that whether the means what would be the powers of these organs, what would be their privileges, what would be the limitations that would be imposed over these organs. Do you understand that? So the Constitution tells us the powers of these organs. It also tells us the role and functions that these organs will play. Like the executive's function is to ensure that the laws are implemented. Do you understand that? The legislature's function are that the laws are made. Clear? It also tells us that what would be the limitation of these organs. Like say for example, can you say that the executive can take any step illegally also? No. It has to take all the steps under the light of the law. जब आपको समझ लो पुलिस ने arrest कर लिया, then the police has to tell you that you are being arrested under the IPC or CRPC. Can the police arrest you just at random, at their wish? No. It means that executive have to govern the country in the light of the laws. And this is the limitation on the executive. Do you understand that? And who sets in those limitations? The Constitution. The Constitution also regulates the relationship of these three organs and their relationship with the people at large. Like say for example, the Prime Minister, the other ministers are the members of the legislature as well. Is the Prime Minister also a member of the Lok Sabha? Yes, it's a part of the legislature. Clearly you can think that the judges are appointed by the President, who is a part of the executive. Clear? So you can understand that therefore there is some sort of interrelationship between these three organs. And what kind of interrelationship will it be is determined by the Constitution. The Constitution also regulates the relationship between these three organs and the people at large. It means what? It means like how the legislatures go into the, how the legislative members go into the legislature when they get elected, either directly or indirectly. And in direct election, people play a large role. Do you understand that? Similarly, the programs that are made by the executive, it means the several schemes, policies, etc., are made for whom? For the people. Do you understand that? It means that the Constitution does how many things? It tells us the nature of the state, it tells us the form of the government, it gives us the various organs of the government, tells us what would be their powers, privileges, what would be their limitations, and regulate the relationship between these organs and between them and the people at large. यहाँ तक चीज क्लियर है? बिल्कुल क्लियर है? No doubts? Very good. लिखो. Give the heading Constitution. That would be the first thing that we'll do. Now, right. Constitution is the basic or fundamental law according to which a country is governed or ruled. देखो जब लिखते हो तो ये समझते हुए लिखना कि जो लिख रहे हो वो समझ में आ रहा है. क्लियर है यहां तक? So right, or in other words, it lays down the basic framework of governance. Now change the paragraph and write, it is the Constitution, it is the Constitution which declares and provides for, now write in bullet form or point wise. First, the nature of the state. स्टेट के आगे ब्रैकेट में लिख सकते हो नेशन स्टेट, जिससे आपको कंफ्यूजन ना हो. अंडर दैट बुलेट यू राइट, don't create another bullet, just under that bullet you write some explanation of it. In simple words, it is the Constitution. In simple words, it is the Constitution, oligarchy, in bracket you write, rule by a group, close the bracket, put a semicolon, dictatorship, in bracket you can write, rule by a despot. Who is a despot? A despot is a person who rules the state the way he wants. Do you understand that? There is no limitation on his authority. Close the bracket, put a semicolon. Despot would be a cruel ruler. Clear? But he is not from the royal family. He can be anyone. Not necessarily. He can be a king as well. A king can also turn into a dictator. But it is not necessary that to be a dictator you have to be from the royal family. Do you understand that? Close the bracket. or democracy. In bracket you can write rule of people. यहाँ तक clear हुआ? Good. Next bullet you write.
Sir, why you are not mentioning about republic?
See, there can be other forms of government as well, but we are just taking here just 4 standard forms. See, what is a republic? A republic is where the head of the state comes through election, either direct or indirect. But in a monarchy, the head of the state comes through hereditary possession. Clear? You can add republic if you want, but just जहाँ तक आज बात clear हो जाए, ठीक है? Second, you write the form of government. The form of government. Put a hyphen and write federal. In bracket you can write division of powers between state and center. Close the bracket. Put a semicolon. Unitary. In bracket you can write only one government or national government. Close the bracket. Or a mixture of unitary and federal features. A mixture of unitary or federal features. In bracket you can write, for example, India. For example, India, which remains federal in normal times, which remains federal in normal times, but becomes unitary in extraordinary situations. Becomes unitary in extraordinary situations like emergency. Close the bracket. Go to the third bullet. The different organs of the government. The different organs of the government. Write this. Viz dot means namely. Viz dot means namely. Legislature, comma, executive, and judiciary. Legislature, executive, and judiciary. उसी के अंडर लिखो थोड़ा सा उसका explanation. The Constitution sets. The Constitution sets the powers and privileges. The powers and privileges of these organs. जैसे देखो, can you criticize the Chief Justice of India? You cannot. It is a privilege that the Chief Justice has. ठीक है? So powers and privileges, put a semicolon and write assign their duties, assign their duties, semicolon, decide their functions, semicolon, imposes limitations, on their authority. And regulates their relationship with each other and with the people at large. Clear? This is our working definition of the Constitution. देखो दो definition होते हैं, एक वो किताब वाले जिनका कोई मतलब नहीं है. Clear? And second is definition which we understand very appropriately. Do you understand that? So close everything, look at me and say Constitution is the basic fundamental law according to which the country is. It tells three things. First, the nature of. Second, the form of. And third, gives us the organs of the government. Do you understand that? Now, ये चीज हो गया, हम समझ गए what is the definition of Constitution. The next idea that we will deal with is एक मिलता जुलता ही word है, and that is constitutionalism. Again, drop your pens, close your book, and look here. देखो, think of the olden times. जब कोई राजा होता था, शहंशाह, बादशाह, जो बोलना है बोल लो. मतलब, they used to rule the country the way they desired, and there was no check on their authority. It means they enjoyed unlimited powers, and their word was law. They were the last court of appeal. मतलब मेरा वचन ही मेरा, यही होता था. Do you understand that? Do you want to live in that kind of a country where one man decides everything? Cannot, right? With the growth of civilization, today we have a modern idea called constitutionalism. Now, constitutionalism calls for or provides a limited government. A government which has limited powers, not unlimited powers, like the monarchs of the olden days had, or like how dictators enjoy. Dictators, they withdraw all the powers from the people, and they enjoy all the powers. They give no rights to the people, but themselves have all the rights. Isn't that so? The king could do anything. The king could not do any wrong. The king is above the law. There was a French king, Louis, who said that I am the state. मतलब मैं ही हूँ देश. Do you understand that? It means it's a very repugnant kind of idea to live under a regime where there is no limitation on authority. Do you understand that? Can the Indian Parliament make laws by which it can take away your basic right of speech and expression, basic right of residence, right to religion? No. It means there is a limitation. It means your fundamental rights are protected from legislative aggression. Do you understand that? Similarly, can the police take any arbitrary action on you? Can the police just walk into this hall and arrest you and put you in detention for life? Can Adolf Hitler do that to the Jews? Yes, because he enjoyed unlimited powers. Okay, think of the judiciary. If suppose that the judge is announcing a death penalty for a person, can the judge do that on his subjective satisfaction or as per the laws and the constitutional provisions? It means there is limitation. But राजा को तो ऐसा था कि या कोई बहन शहंशाह और बादशाह जो होते थे उनको पसंद आता था तो मारला निकाल के फेंक देते थे और नहीं पसंद आता तो बोलते थे डाल दो इसको कारागार में. यही होता था. Do you understand that? So what is constitutionalism? It is a philosophy. It is a political philosophy which calls for a limited government instead of an authoritarian, totalitarian, or despotic regime. देखो, authoritarian government का मतलब क्या होता है? It means that political plurality is not encouraged. It means one party, one country, one man. Do you understand that? That was in fact the slogan of Nazi Germany. Do you know this? One man, one rule, one ideology. Do you understand that? There is no plurality of ideology. That's the beauty of democracy. It's a bouquet of flowers of different colors. Do you understand that? So authoritarian government is which does not encourage political plurality. And there is strong use of authority to curb the civil rights of people, like the right to speak, right to express, freedom of religion, right to have an occupation, right to reside in a particular area, right of movement, right of having an avocation. Do you understand that? So what is an authoritarian government? Which uses strong authority to curb the rights of the people and which does not encourage political plurality. These kind of governments do not respect one thing which is known as rule of law. Do you understand that? So they do not respect any rule which is in accordance with the law. Then comes totalitarian government. Totalitarian government are those which control every aspect of your life. It means your public as well as your private life. How you will marry, what you will eat, where you will go, how you will worship. In North Korea, for example, if you are held with a Bible, there is capital punishment. Do you know? That is a totalitarian form of government. So we cannot say that constitutionalism prevails in North Korea. Are you aware of Kim Jong-un? He is a totalitarian, authoritarian despot. And who is a despot? I have already explained to you. A despot means a person who rules the government at the whims and fancies that he has, or who rules the state in an oppressive manner, in a cruel manner. The idea of constitutionalism, it emerged from the writings of two English philosophers. The first one is John Locke, and the second one is Thomas Hobbes. You see, John Locke is considered as the father of liberalism. जो हम ये बोलते हैं basic right आपके, like right to life and liberty. Do you understand that? This basic right, it was scientifically presented in the writings of the English philosopher John Locke. That's why he is known as the father of liberalism. It is Lockean thoughts and Lockean ideas which inspired Thomas Jefferson, the person who wrote the Declaration of Independence during the American War of Independence. American War of Independence की Declaration of Independence में एक line है that every person have the right to life, liberty and pursuit of happiness. कि सबको हक है कि वो जिंदा रहें, उनके पास basic freedoms हो, and they have the right to be happy. Do you understand that? So Thomas Jefferson, who is the architect of the Declaration of Independence, even the American Constitution, which is world's first written constitution, it is modeled on the ideas of the English philosopher John Locke, who is the father of liberalism. Clear? और अगर ये बोल दिया जाए कि आपके पास एक बेसिक राइट है, कौन सी राइट? लाइफ, लिबर्टी, जो कोई नहीं छीन सकता, गवर्नमेंट भी नहीं, तो गवर्नमेंट लिमिट हो गई अपने पावर में. It means that there is what? There is constitutionalism. If the government can take your life and liberty just at the drop of the hat, it means that there is no constitutionalism. Do you get that? Second comes Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes, he is known for a theory called the social contract theory. देखो, सोसाइटी में सबके बीच में एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, an unsaid mutual agreement between everyone in the society. Why all of you are sitting so with ease in this class? क्या आपके मन में ये डर है कि मेरे पीछे वाले के पास चाकू तो नहीं है? Do you understand that? It means there is a contract that nobody will hurt anybody. ऐसा कहीं लिखा हुआ है that if you see an old person walking by, you assist that person to cross the road? ऐसा कहीं लिखा हुआ है रूल में? It's an unsaid contract. Do you understand that? So there is a social contract between the people and the government as well, that the government will not tinker with, the government will not destroy either by legislative action or by executive action what? The life or the liberty of the people. Unsaid contract hai. Do you understand that? And if any government try to do that, then there is revolution against the government. Do you understand that? Nobody wants to take forward such kind of a government. So the moment the government starts following this contract, it means government's power are limited or unlimited? Limited. It means that the government has now become a part of the overall political philosophy of constitutionalism. Do you understand that? If there is no constitutionalism, the life of the people would be miserable. Many countries have constitution but not constitutionalism. क्योंकि constitution तो यही बताएगा nature of state कैसा होगा, despotic state. What would be the form of government? Centralized monarchy. And what would be the organs of the government? Only one person who will have all the organs. Do you understand that? It means that country has constitution, but does it have constitutionalism? No. Constitutionalism means limiting the authority of the government. Is it a good idea to limit the powers of the government? Yes. Otherwise, the government would become a cruel machinery which will oppress the people and which will not make the people happy. And if people are not happy, will we be able to build a welfare state? No. It means our purpose would be defeated. Do you understand that? And it emerged from the writings of which two scholars? John Locke, who is the father of liberalism, and Thomas Hobbes, who is the father of social contract theory. In fact, have you heard about Jean-Jacques Rousseau? Yes. He is also an adherent of constitutionalism. But आज पहला ही दिन है, कितने और scholars? दो ही काफी हैं आज के लिए, ठीक है? So you write. Next heading is constitutionalism. Under that you write, it is a political philosophy. It is a political philosophy which emerged through the writings of English philosophers, John Locke, Locke with a E, John Locke. In bracket you write, father of liberalism, father of liberalism. एक उसी ब्रैकेट के अंदर ही लिख सकते हो, that is right to life and liberty. That is right to life and liberty. Close the bracket. And Thomas Hobbes. Are you people aware of a comic strip called Calvin and Hobbes? Are you aware of a comic strip called Calvin and Hobbes? कई बार टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में आता है, आपने देखा होगा. सो कभी देखना, वो जो पूरा कॉमिक स्ट्रिप है ना, वो होब्स के फिलॉसफी से बना हुआ है. It's a very intellectual comical strip. Anyhow, Hobbes, in bracket you write, the proponent of social contract theory, Thomas Hobbes, the proponent of social contract theory. See, Hobbes wrote a book. Its name was Leviathan. Clear? So, कहीं पे margin में लिख लो that Hobbes is the author of the famous book Leviathan. Is the author of the famous book Leviathan. Put a full stop. Write the next sentence. Constitutionalism provides for a limited government, as opposed to an authoritarian, comma, totalitarian, or despotic regime. Put a full stop and write. Change the paragraph if you wish to. An authoritarian government is one. An authoritarian government is one which rejects political plurality. Political plurality का मतलब क्या होता है? Existence of more than one political party or existence of more than one political ideology. Clear? So in bracket you can write existence of political plurality means existence of more than one political party or political ideology. मतलब अगर अथॉरिटेरियन रेजिम है तो वो सेम आइडियोलॉजी की भी सेकंड पार्टी को टॉलरेट नहीं करते. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? दूसरी आइडियोलॉजी तो छोड़ ही दो. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स दैट हैपेंस. Yes, you can think of that. You cannot say that it is an authoritarian regime, but definitely it is on course. जब शी जिनपिंग को ये डिक्लेयर कर दिया गया that he would be leader for life, तो खत्म हो गया ना सब कुछ. अब वो अच्छा हो चाहे बुरा हो, जब तक जिंदा है वही है. Do you understand that? So you write political plurality, put a semicolon. Strong use of authority to reduce the civil liberties.
Sir, it is included in authoritative only or totalitarian?
In both, you can say. Strong use of authority to curb civil liberties and rights of the people. Strong use of authority to curb the civil liberties or rights of the people. ये हो गया authoritarian government. Clear? Put a full stop and write. A totalitarian government is one. A totalitarian government is one which exercises complete control over public and private life of the people. Put a full stop. A despotic A despotic regime is one in which there is a single individual, bracket में लिखो the dictator, who rules the country at his whims and fancies. At his whims, WHIMS, whims and fancies. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? Whims and fancies का मतलब? जैसे मन में आया. Okay? Whims and fancies. Often in an oppressive, at his whims and fancies, at his whims and fancies, often in an oppressive and cruel manner. Oppressive and cruel manner. समझ में आया? What is constitutionalism? Change the paragraph and write one more time. Constitutionalism sets limits. Constitutionalism sets limits on the powers of various organs of the government. Sets limits on the powers of various organs of the government. For example, write one. First you write, first example. The legislature cannot take away the basic fundamental rights of the people. Even by law. Second example, the executive take decisions and carry out actions. The executive takes decision and carry out actions as per law and not in an arbitrary fashion. In an arbitrary fashion. What is arbitrary? जैसा भी दिल को किया, ठीक है? Not in an arbitrary fashion. Third example you write. The judiciary dispenses. Dispenses means gives way. The judiciary dispenses justice as per constitution and laws. Justice as per constitution and laws. अच्छा, अब देखो, what is the difference between constitution and constitutionalism? एक लाइन में बताना हो तो कैसे बताएंगे? What is the difference between constitution and you understand what is constitution? You understand what is constitutionalism? What is the difference? समझ लो, जैसे आपने वो वाला गेम शो देखा है, कौन बनेगा करोड़पति? उसमें 60 सेकंड है, अब बताना है. What is the difference? Yes, please.
The constitution is the basic or fundamental framework.
Yes.
Constitutionalism is a political philosophy.
Yes, constitution is law, whereas constitutionalism is philosophy. Clear? तो ये लिख लो एक नोट नीचे. Constitution is a legal document. Constitution is a legal document. Whereas constitutionalism is a political philosophy. ठीक है? So we understand what is constitution, we understand what is constitutionalism. Any problem? Anyone? Clear so far? Very good, very good. Okay, now see, we'll now try to classify the constitutions. It means we will put the constitution into different categories. Can we classify the constitutions as old constitutions and new constitutions? Can we do that? We can, why not? Like there can be very old constitutions, like say the Constitution of United Kingdom, whereas the Constitution of Nepal would be a very new constitution. But this is not a good classification. Good classification of constitution is on the basis of written and unwritten constitution. Clear? So put down your pen, close your book, and we will now try to understand the difference between written and unwritten constitution. See, the first thing with written constitution is, naam se hi samajh mein aa raha hai, that it is codified. It means written over paper or any material. Do you understand that? So written constitutions are codified documents which are passed like laws. Like say for example, the parliament passes laws, to law hawa mein hota hai kya? It is written on paper. Do you understand that? There is a draft which is then debated and deliberated upon, and then there is voting, and then the law is passed. Do you understand that? Similarly, the constitution, the written constitutions are duly enacted in the form of laws. They are codified document. Everything about the constitution, it means the nature of the state, the form of government, and the different organs of the government, their powers, privileges, their limitations, and the regulation of the relationship between them and the people. Everything is codified in one single document, and that document is enacted. It means it is passed like laws. But it is not the ordinary parliament which does it. It is some extraordinary parliament, a super parliament like the Constituent Assembly, which is also representative body of the people. It means it is also an elected body. It is not, aisa nahi hai that somebody creates the Constituent Assembly. Like India's Constituent Assembly was elected body. Do you understand that? So that is the first thing with respect to written constitution. Whereas unwritten constitutions, definitely they are not codified. Therefore, they do not exist in the form of a single document. They are based on norms, principles, traditions, and conventions. देखो, norm means an unsaid rule, like there is a social norm to respect the elders. Do you understand that? It's an unsaid rule. Principles means, like say for example, your belief in justice, fairness, ये आपके values हैं. Do you understand that? Traditions means what you have learned from your forefathers and you are still continuing it. Like the food we eat, something you have you heard about traditional food, traditional wear? Clear? So it's based on tradition. What kind of tradition? Political traditions. Conventions means general procedural practices, like how you behave in the political sphere. Do you understand that? So unwritten constitutions are definitely not written. But देखो, ऐसे तो हम लिख नहीं सकते. This is UPSC Civil Services Examination, the most prestigious examination in the country. Can you write this? Written constitutions are written, unwritten constitutions are not written. मतलब वो समझ जाएगा पहले कि इस पे तो टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करना अब और, ठीक है? इज नॉट फिट फॉर द सर्विसेज. तो चलो पहला लिखो, कॉलम क्रिएट कर लो, एक एक पॉइंट लिखते हुए चलेंगे, समझते हुए चलेंगे. So create a column or fold the page whatever you like. On one side you write written constitution and on the other side you write unwritten constitution. Now see one thing, if unwritten constitutions are not codified, can they be passed like laws? No. Do you understand that? So they are not enacted constitutions, these are enacted constitution. Enaction means you are passing it like an act. Act means a law of the parliament, right? The Right to Information Act. Do you understand that? But not the ordinary parliament does it. Who does it? The super parliament. It is not known as super parliament, but हम उसे बोल रहे हैं just for to distinguish it from the ordinary parliament. Do you understand that? So you write under written constitution, you write first, written constitution. It is codified and compiled. It is codified and compiled in a logical manner. It is codified and compiled in a logical manner. And it is found in one legal document. One legal document which is duly enacted in the form of laws. In the form of laws. Unwritten constitution पे लिखो पहला point. Unwritten constitution. It is not embodied or contained. जो लिखना चाहो लिखो. It is not embodied. It means contained. It is not embodied in one single document. It is based on norms, principles, traditions and conventions. और कोई ट्रेडिशन को आप लॉ के फॉर्म में एनेक्ट कर सकते हो? नहीं. So you write which have never been enacted in the form of laws. Clear? So the first point is clear with respect to written and unwritten constitution. So we're talking about the second point with respect to written and unwritten constitution. Again, drop your pen. Look here. देखो इधर देखो. The second difference between written and unwritten constitution is written constitution is systematic, definite and precise. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? देखो, systematic means there is a logical arrangement of the various provisions of the constitution. What do we mean by provisions of the constitution? It means the schedules, the articles that are there in the constitution. So there is a systematic arrangement. It means in the Indian constitution, is it a written constitution, Indian constitution? Yes. Do we have chapters dedicated to fundamental rights? Union executive, judiciary, it means everything is systematic. Clear? ऐसा नहीं कि कहीं पे कुछ भी हो रहा है. Everything is well coherently arranged in a logical fashion. Are you clear with that? Second, it is definite. Definite means that there is no vagueness in and around it. We know what are the powers of legislature, what are the powers of Supreme Court, what are the powers of the Central Council of Ministry. We understand what the Prime Minister can do, what the President can do, what they cannot do, what the Parliament can do, what it cannot do. It means everything is very clear. So everything is very definite. It is not vague. Clear? Third, it is precise. Precise means it also tells us that at what time they can do such things. Like say for example, if suppose there is a state, suppose that state is XYZ and elections have been conducted in the state, and suppose the central government has lost the state elections in that state. Due to this loss, can the central government impose president's rule over that state? It means it is very precise कि कब कर सकते हो, कैसे कर सकते हो. Do you understand that? Do you get that? Whereas unwritten constitution just इसका उल्टा सब कुछ. It is unsystematic. कहीं से कुछ भी आ रहा है because there is no single document. Do you understand that? It is indefinite because there can be multiple traditions and many times traditions may collide. Do you understand that? And we do not know which tradition to follow. Like, say for example, the parents teach us that you should never, you can say, tolerate injustice. सबके घर में यही सिखाया जाता है कि कभी injustice मत tolerate करना, do not be unfair, be kind. This is what is being taught. But when you see that suppose somebody in your home is treating someone in an unfair manner, or suppose somebody has accepted bribe in your home and you come to know about it, it is your duty now, moral duty, to oppose that act. But there is a tradition also in the home not to speak on elders. So both the traditions are conflicting. Which to follow? It is not precise in a unwritten constitution. Do you get that? So it is indefinite and it is unprecise. मतलब पता नहीं कौन से वक्त कौन सा tradition follow करना है, कभी भी कुछ भी कर लो. It means it is a bag of confusion when compared to the written constitution. But for those for whom it has worked, they are continuing with it. Do you understand that? But in a large, diverse country like India, which has multiple traditions, multiple norms, it would become very problematic. What? Unwritten constitutions. Do you understand that? So, likho, second point. Under written constitutions, you write first. It is systematic. It is systematic, definite, and precise. It is systematic, definite, and precise. बस इतना ही लिखना है और यहाँ लिखो unwritten में. It is unsystematic, indefinite, and unprecise. Unsystematic, indefinite, and unprecise. Clear? समझ में आया? Drop your pens again. Now, we will go to the third difference between written and unwritten constitution. See, written constitution is the outcome of the conscious deliberations of the people. Sometime back in history, the people of a country decided that we want to have a constitution. That's why they created a representative body or the constituent assembly, which then gave the written constitution. First created the draft, like you know, we had a drafting committee. Chairman was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and then the draft was presented in the constituent assembly. It was deliberated for 2 years, and then on 26th of November 1949, when the constitution was passed like a law. Do you understand that? And which had the signature of the chairman of the constituent assembly. Do you understand that? So, the written constitution are the result of the deliberative efforts of people who at a point in time in history created a representative body called the constituent assembly, and through it passed the constitution like a law, because written constitutions are enacted constitution. That's why written constitutions are also known as enacted constitution. We have a constituent assembly. Similarly, in US also they had a constituent assembly. Do you understand that? The US is the first written constitution. Do you understand that? Whereas unwritten constitution, they are not the result of the deliberative or conscious decisions of the people, because they are based on norms, principles, traditions and conventions. Are all the traditions and norms they emerge in one day? No, over a course of time. So these constitutions have evolved over a period of time and have not come into existence at a point in time. Do you understand that? Written constitution का एक date होता है. Like we have a date 26th of November 1949 and then 26th of January 1950 when it came into force. Do you understand that? But unwritten constitution, they are evolved constitution. They evolve over a period of time. They do not come into existence at a point in time. Because they evolve over a period of time, they cannot have one constituent assembly. So there is no constituent assembly, no representative body. क्योंकि जब law बनाना ही नहीं है तो parliament बनाने की क्या जरूरत है? Super parliament. Do you understand that? So you're right. Did you get that? Any confusion, anyone? Good. सारे होशियार लोग मिले इस बार. So you write third statement under written constitution. You write result of deliberative and conscious efforts. Result of deliberative and conscious efforts of the people. Put a hyphen and write, continue that line. The written constitutions are framed by a representative body, duly elected, duly, D-U-L-Y, duly elected by the people at a point in time, underline this word, at a point in time in history. At a point in time in history. Either you change the ink or you underline the keywords. Clear? Put a hyphen and write, therefore, these constitutions are known as, enacted constitutions. Enacted constitutions. Clear? अब unwritten constitution के अंडर लिखो third point. These constitutions are not the result. These constitutions are not the result of deliberative and conscious efforts. Not the result of deliberative and conscious efforts of the people. Put a full stop and write, no representative body created such constitutions. Put a full stop. Unwritten constitutions have evolved over a period of time. Unwritten constitutions have evolved, again change the ink or underline, evolved over a period of time. Therefore, they are known as evolved constitutions. Therefore, they are known as evolved constitutions. ठीक है? समझ में आया? Good. Now, drop your pen and look here. अच्छा, एक बात बताओ. The parliament, the executive and the judiciary. Let me take the Supreme Court as the representative of the judiciary. Is the parliament above the constitution in India? What about the Supreme Court? Is it above the constitution? What about the executive? No. It means in India, what is over and above everything? The constitution. It means अगर किसी का राज चलता है इंडिया में तो किसका चलता है? Constitution. It means who is supreme in India? Constitution. In written constitutions, there is constitutional supremacy. It means the constitution is supreme and nothing is over and above it. Do you understand that? And if it is a democratic country, then who created the constitution? The people have created the constitution through a representative body. Preamble में देखा है, we the people of India give to ourselves, ऐसा लिखा हुआ है. It means who have created the constitution? The people, through a representative body. So under written constitutions you have constitutional supremacy, but under unwritten constitutions you have parliamentary supremacy. Parliament is supreme, even above the constitution. It is the parliament which has created the constitution and not the other way around. In India, the constitution has created the parliament, but under unwritten constitutions like in United Kingdom, it is the parliament which has created the constitution, and it is the constitution which has then created the executive and the judiciary. So who is supreme here? Parliament. So under unwritten constitution there is parliamentary supremacy, but under written constitution there is constitutional supremacy. Do you understand that? So likho 14 point. Under written constitutions you write 4th point. There exists constitutional supremacy. There exists constitutional supremacy. In written constitutions. And under unwritten you write, parliamentary supremacy exists in unwritten constitutions. Parliamentary supremacy exists in unwritten constitutions. अच्छा एक चीज देखो, look here. Yes, everyone, look here, think of India and think of the Constituent Assembly which created the constitution, and then the parliament which is creating the ordinary laws. Clear? Like think of any law, think of right to education, right to information, or any other law, labor laws, any laws, they are all created by the parliament. Can the parliament in India create a constitution? क्या पार्लियामेंट ये कर सकता है इंडिया में कि ये वाले कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को हटा के एक और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना दे? It cannot. Clear? The laws which are passed by the parliament are known as ordinary laws. Clear? Whereas the law which was passed by an extraordinary parliament was an extraordinary law. Do you understand that? So under written constitution there is a difference between constitutional law and ordinary law, or extraordinary law and ordinary law. The laws that the parliament pass must be in tune with the constitutional provisions. Can the parliament pass a law through which it takes away the civil rights of the people? No. It means that the laws which are passed by the parliament must be in tune with the provisions of the constitution. Provisions means articles, schedules, parts, etc. Do you understand that? But अगर parliament supreme है कहीं पर, and parliament passes ordinary laws also, and parliament has made the constitution, so is there any difference between constitution and law? Both are passed by the same body. So even the constitution is an ordinary law. Where? In England. Do you understand that? Whereas in the states and in India it is an extraordinary law. States means the United States. Clear? So you write, under written constitution you write, there is difference between constitutional law and ordinary law. There is difference between constitutional law and ordinary law. Under unwritten constitution you write, there is no such difference. There is no such difference. Clear? Now you see that can the Indian Parliament, it can make changes to the constitution? It cannot alter, it cannot destroy the constitution, but can it make amendments to the constitution? Changes to the constitution? Modify the text of the constitution? Delete some article? Add some new article? Can the parliament do it? Yes, clear. But if there is constitutional supremacy, will there be unlimited power to the parliament to do it? No. It means that constitution will impose some restrictions. Like in India, if you have to amend the text of the constitution, you have to follow a special procedure which is given under article 360. ऐसा नहीं है कि कैसे भी कर दोगे. Do you understand that? And then in some cases, if the constitutional text affects the federal relations, it means the relations between center and states, then not only you have to follow the procedure under 368, but you also have to get the ratification of at least half the number of states. It means if they say yes, then only that constitutional amendment will take effect. Do you understand that? It means there is a kind of rigidity and flexibility, both. Do you understand that? It means that अगर आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के टेक्स्ट को ऑल्टर करना है तो आप अपने मन मर्जी से नहीं कर सकते इंडिया में. It means written constitutions are relatively rigid. Do you understand that? They can be flexible as well. Like many constitutions have given liberal rights on the parliament that make any kind of changes you want. But judiciary, the Supreme Court, there was a famous case called the Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973 case, said that the parliament cannot destroy the basic structure of the constitution. मतलब जिसे कहते हैं constitution की जो आत्मा है उसको destroy नहीं कर सकता. Do you understand that? So there is now this judicial limitation of basic structure, the procedural limitation of article 368, and the requirement of ratification from the states if you are altering the federal features of the constitution. Don't worry about it, we'll go into detail of it when we go to the chapter on amendment of the constitution. But do you get the basic idea? कि बहुत आसान नहीं है. But in unwritten constitution where parliament is supreme है तो कुछ भी कर सकता है. अगर इंग्लैंड में ये बोले कोई किसी दिन कि ये उठाओ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फेंको एक नया आएगा तो आ जाएगा. Do you understand that? Why? Because the judiciary has no power to speak a word before the English legislators. Do you understand that? यहाँ पे अगर कोई बोले ऐसे तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट अगले ही दिन एक गाइडलाइन इश्यू कर देंगे. Do you understand that? So written constitutions can be rigid or they can be flexible, but unwritten constitutions are flexible. So right, next. Written constitutions can be rigid or flexible. Written constitutions can be rigid or flexible. Second, under the unwritten constitution, you write, they are necessarily flexible. They are necessarily flexible. Rigid हो ही नहीं सकते. अच्छा देखो, in India, the constitution divides the legislative powers and the executive powers between the center and the states. Like, are you aware there is a schedule called the 7th schedule in the constitution which contains list called the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. Union list में जो subjects हैं उस पे कौन law बना सकता है? Only the union parliament. State list में जो है उस पे state legislature और जो concurrent list है उसमें दोनों. Do you understand that? It means there is division of powers with respect to legislature. Similarly, there is division of powers with respect to executive. Like at the center you have the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministry. At the state level you have the Chief Minister and his Council of Ministry. Do you understand that? So when there is division of powers, we say what kind of government is that? Federal. Remember, in federal government there is division of powers. What kind of powers? Legislative, executive, even judicial powers could be divided in an ideal form of federation. Do you understand that? And you see that if the parliament is supreme, agar parliament सबसे बड़ा है, then all the powers are with parliament. Will the parliament divide some of the powers with the local governments? No. It means such a constitution will be or such a government would be necessarily unitary. वो कभी फेडरल हो ही नहीं सकते जहां पर क्या है अनरिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट सुप्रीम है और पार्लियामेंट जब सुप्रीम है तो will the parliament tolerate some division of powers with any other legislature? Definitely not. Do you understand that? So it means that under unwritten constitutions we have unitary form of government always. Otherwise the parliament cannot be supreme. क्योंकि डिवीजन ऑफ पावर्स का मतलब तो यही होता है ना कि स्टेट लिस्ट में कुछ चीज है जिसपे यूनियन पार्लियामेंट लॉ नहीं बना सकता, और अगर आप बोलोगे कि पार्लियामेंट्री सुप्रीमेसी है लेकिन पार्लियामेंट ये नहीं कर सकता तो सुप्रीम कैसे हुआ? डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? it means it cannot make laws on a particular subject, then it is not, you can say, omnipotent. It has some deficiency of power. Therefore, written constitutions can be federal or they can be unitary. बता सकता है written constitution में ये लिखा जा सकता है, but unwritten constitutions would be necessarily unitary. लिखो. Under written constitution you write, they can be federal or unitary. They can be federal or unitary. Under unwritten constitutions you write, necessarily unitary. Necessarily unitary. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? That unitary होना ये necessity है, इसके अलावा हो ही नहीं सकता. Clear? अच्छा एक चीज देखो, like suppose the Indian Parliament passed a law, and in that law, right to speech and expression and religion and movement and settlement and vocation, all these kind of basic civil liberties are taken away. ये law Indian Parliament ने pass किया. Do you think that this law will be implemented? No. Why? Because in India, the Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution. It is the protector of the Constitution, also the final interpreter of the Constitution. The Constitution of India is what the Supreme Court of India says. Do you understand that? So the Supreme Court will review this law. या लोग ये PIL फाइल कर सकते हैं कोर्ट में कि देखो ऐसा एक लॉ बनाया गया है. Do you understand that? And the Supreme Court will check this law, and all laws should be in tune with the provisions of the Constitution. And in the Constitution there is a chapter called chapter 3 which gives you fundamental rights, which assures that these rights cannot be taken away by even legislative action. Otherwise it would be legislative high-handedness. Do you understand that? And democracy would be rudified in such a country. Do you understand that? So what did you understand? That the Supreme Court will strike down such law and will declare it is unconstitutional and void. Do you understand that? अब इंग्लैंड में समझ लो, ऐसे ही इंग्लैंड के पार्लियामेंट ने एक लॉ पास किया. कैन द जुडिशरी डू एनीथिंग? जुडिशरी तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से आया है और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन खुद पार्लियामेंट से आया है. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? इसलिए वो कुछ भी लॉ बनाते थे और इंडिया पे इंप्लीमेंट कर देते थे. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट्स, और वहां की जुडिशरी कुछ नहीं कर सकती थी, जबकि बहुत सारे फ्रीडम फाइटर्स होते थे तब यूरोप में जो बहुत सारे PIL डालते थे. The only thing, the objective was not the judiciary to do anything with respect to the government, but to create awareness among people that this is what the government is doing, and thereby fuel the anti-imperial sentiments. Do you get that? So you write, next point. Under written constitution you write, judiciary enjoys wide powers. Judiciary enjoys wide powers. Like interpreting the Constitution, the power to review the laws, etc. अच्छा देखो, अगर इंग्लैंड में जुडिशरी ये बोले दैट इस नॉर्म का मतलब एक्चुअली X होता है और पार्लियामेंट बोले द नॉर्म का मतलब जो है वो Y होता है, तो कौन सा मतलब लिया जाएगा? It means it has no right to interpret the Constitution. You write, under unwritten Constitution, judiciary enjoys limited powers. Limited powers. So that is the difference between written constitutions and unwritten constitution. Are each one of you crystal clear with every difference? Clear? Very good. Now see, examples of written constitution is, the oldest written constitution is United States of America. Is the Indian Constitution a written constitution? Yes. Can you quote another example of a written constitution? Canada is a written constitution. Unwritten constitutions are UK, then New Zealand, Israel also has a unwritten constitution. तो example लिख लो कुछ नीचे, written के नीचे लिख लो, USA, oldest, India, lengthiest, हमें तो आदत ही है लंबा लंबा लिखने की. But you will understand why the Indian Constitution is so lengthy. Lengthiest? Canada, they are all written constitution. Unwritten का example लिख लो. United Kingdom, UK, New Zealand, Israel. अच्छा देखो. हाँ.
You just mentioned the 8-point judiciary enjoys wide power.
Huh.
But can we say that the majority of the power sitting in the parliament has the influence over the independence of judiciary?
Now see, dear, that would be a debate. Do you understand that? We are talking very generally. Whether the things are actually happening the way they are prescribed in the Constitution is a debate. There will be both the sides of the debate. Some would say yes, it is. Some would say no. Then we will move into the realm of politics. Clear? And as potential bureaucrats, एक चीज जिससे आपको दूर रहना है वो है politics. हम ना right है ना left है ना center हैं. हम क्या हैं? हम constitutionalists हैं. हमारे लिए कोई पार्टी या कोई पर्सन इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. हमारे लिए कंट्री और उसके लिए. अगर आप पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी रखोगे तो आप अगर आपके मनपसंद का नेता नहीं आएगा तो आप तो सजेशन ही नहीं दोगे सही. आप तो चाहोगे कि हार जाए, दूसरा वाला है. It means you will not perform your duty. So apolitical or political neutrality is a foundational value of civil service. Anyhow, अच्छा देखो, जैसे एक myth है that constitutions are written and unwritten. अभी तो हमने देखा कि क्या होता है, but there is not a single constitution which is completely unwritten and not a single constitution which is completely written. Like, let me give you an example. The English Constitution or the Constitution of United Kingdom is written or unwritten? Unwritten. But do you know that the growth of constitution in United States of America, in United Kingdom, it is believed that it started in the year 1215 when in Runnymede, near, you can say in England, King John was forced to sign the Great Charter of Liberty known as the Magna Carta. तो तो लिखा डॉक्यूमेंट है, तो रिटन हो गया ना. पूरा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अनरिटन है लेकिन जिसकी शुरुआत है वो रिटन है, मैग्ना कार्टा. तो ये तो मिथ है, ये धोखे वाली बात है कि कैसे हो गया ये अनरिटन. वैसे सोच लो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रिटन है अनरिटन? रिटन है. नाउ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेज दैट द प्रेसिडेंट शुड अपॉइंट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, इतना ही कहते हैं. बट whom? ये कन्वेंशन से तय होता है. जनरली द कन्वेंशन सेज वन whose party is in majority in the popular house of the union legislature. It means the Lok Sabha. And if nobody is in a situation, then the person who can get the majority of a coalition, the president decides it. Do you understand that? Similarly, you see that suppose you know that the Council of Ministry, if it gets defeated on a vital issue in the parliament, it has two options. It can resign or it can dissolve the Lok Sabha. It can do anything. But क्या करोगे और कब कैसा करोगे ये कहीं लिखा थोड़ी ना है. It is decided by conventions. So learning क्या है? That written constitution, unwritten constitution, this is the myth. ये होता नहीं है actually. तो क्या हम कह सकते हैं? Constitutions are mostly written or mostly unwritten. Not entirely written or entirely unwritten. Got that? Right? Write a note. No constitution is completely written or unwritten. No constitution is completely written or unwritten. For example, the unwritten constitution of UK, the unwritten constitution of UK has written portions like Magna Carta. Has written portions like Magna Carta. इसके बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे अच्छे से. Don't worry. Magna Carta. In bracket you can write the Great Charter of Liberty. आप लोगों ने रॉबिन हुड का नाम सुना है? रॉबिन हुड, yes, the legend is associated with the Magna Carta, and we'll come to know about it, don't worry, as we proceed in the classes. So Magna Carta, the Great Charter of Liberty, or the Constitution of USA, which is, or India, ऐसा कर लो, Constitution of USA or India, which is largely unwritten, sorry, which is largely written, has many constitutional conventions, ठीक है? So you get the difference between written constitution and unwritten constitution. अब बंद कर दो सब, मेरी तरफ देखो एक बार. बोलो, you understand what is the meaning of constitution? It is the basic fundamental law according to which the country is governed. It tells us three things. First, the nature of the state, the form of the, and tells us the various organs of the government. Clear? Constitutionalism provides for limited government as opposed to authoritarian, totalitarian and despotic regime. Emerged from the writings of two English philosophers, their names John Locke and Thomas Hobbes. Clear? John Locke, the father of, and Thomas Hobbes, social contract theory. Clear? And you understand what is the difference between written constitution and unwritten constitution. Is there any doubt with respect to anything? No doubts? Very good. अच्छा, एक चीज देखो, हम क्या करेंगे कि हर दिन जो क्लास में पढ़ेंगे, at the end of the day you will get a writing sheet जिसमें उस क्लास की समरी के फॉर्म में क्वेश्चन होगा. You write that answer. Do you understand that? And bring it the next day. It will get evaluated. You will also get a model answer कि कैसा उसका model answer होना चाहिए. In that way your writing will improve. Can you develop your writing in one day? It is impossible. Like, think of this, that even when you type a WhatsApp message or say an email, depending upon whom you are sending it, बार बार टाइप करके आप उसे मिटाते हो. It means you create many drafts before you finally send the actual thing. तो ये हो सकता है कि UPSC मेंस एग्जामिनेशन में बैठो where you are competing with the best brains in the country and you will be able to write the answer in one go without any mistakes. Can you write a simple application, leave application also without any mistakes? थोड़ा तो होगा, human error तो होता ही है element. So that's why you need to write. एक इसका फायदा ये, दूसरा फायदा ये कि रिवीजन कितना हुआ है और एप्लीकेशन कितना है लर्निंग का वो भी समझ में आ जाएगा. राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस हो रही है. And the great advantage of this is the entire syllabus would be summarized in the form of question answers, which would be of great help at the time of last minute revision. Clear? अगर आप ये लिखते हो, you will remember me. अगर आप ये नहीं लिखते हो, still you will remember me. That कि आपने क्यों नहीं लिखा? बहुत दोनों तरीके से you will remember me. That's for sure. Plus, you also have some daily writing questions, the steps questions, and some pre-questions. अब ये है देखो कि समझ लो a child doesn't know how to ride a bicycle. There are two ways. One is to hold the bicycle and make the child ride over it, and when the child gets the comfort, leave the bicycle. That's the normal way. The other way is leave this bicycle with the child, sit and watch. The second one seems to be a bit cruel, but more effective. Because when you self-learn, it stays with you. आपने देखा है, छोटा बच्चा होता है, 1 महीने का, और जो मदर हैं, वो उनसे बोलती हैं कि देखो ये फोटो देखा है, ये जो है ये विराट कोहली है, ये समझ लो ये पंखा है, और जो घर के लोग हैं वो हंसते हैं कि उसे क्या समझ में आ रहा है. Do you know there is a subconscious part of your brain where these things get embedded, and next time when you grow up, that same child, when he hears the term fan or Virat Kohli, with respect to other child, his learning capacity improves. Do you understand that? चलो एक और एग्जाम्पल सुनो. The Japanese, they were totally devastated after the World War II when Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuclear explosions happened on 6th and 9th of August 1945, which also brought curtains to World War II. उसके बाद जो इकोनॉमी है जापान की totally destroy हो गई. You know what the Japanese did? They imported technology from USA, broke down that, and with the inquisitive mindset, with the kind of curiosity like a child has, observed कि है क्या अंदर. Then they rearranged it, converted into nanotechnology, and sold it back to the Americans. And within 20 years, they were the second largest economy in the entire world and held that seat for a longer period of time. This is known as reverse engineering. गया वो ज़माना कि आप ठोकर खाओगे, फिर आपको दर्द होगा और आप सीखोगे. आपको दूसरों के ठोकरों से सीखना है. Because life is too short to get hit all the time and then learn. Anybody can. But who can learn from others' mistakes is the person who will make through this examination. Do you get that? So there are 4 questions and you know nothing about it. अगर मैं आपको बोलूं that do you have any idea about Galapagos hotspot? समझ लो नहीं है किसी को आइडिया, तो कैसे बताओगे मुझे? क्या करोगे? अगर मैं पूछूं आपसे कि मुझे बताओ Galapagos hotspot के बारे में और समझ लो आपको नहीं पता है, तो कैसे बताओगे? क्या करोगे? गूगल करोगे? तो वही करना, देखना, पढ़ना, सेल्फ लर्न करना. जब क्लास में वो आएगा तो you will be in a better position to grasp it. Do you understand that? Enough work, assignment on a daily basis. See, we do not want serious students. Seriousness leads you nowhere. We want sincere students, dedicated students who are willing to work, toil their midnight oil and work very diligently in a religious fashion. प्यार होना चाहिए. किससे? किससे? अपने करियर से. देखो, एक तो fear of failure हटा दो, that what would happen if I don't qualify. But what I can do once I get qualified, that would be a better feeling. Create. Now, one thing is that read the notes, revise the notes every time you come into the classes. Clear? So I will also take some questions if there are any. Are there any questions? No questions? Okay, so I do not have any questions from the online students as well. So anyhow, clear? So that is it, students, for today, and I will meet you again in the next class. Till then, take good care of yourself. Thank you very much.